It was 3-on-1 again. J.D. Vance not only had to dismantle Tim Walz's web of lies, he also had to battle CBS's biased moderators who slapped him with this fact check on immigration.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Right. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
But even with the referees trying to trip up Vance, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace thinks they didn't go far enough. Check out this meltdown.
J.D. Vance said, well, Donald Trump strengthened and saved Obamacare. That's what he came back and said.
Right.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right?
Well. All right, Dana. They weren't supposed to fact check the candidates. Right. They had agreed that they weren't going to do it. But shock, who did they fact check? Just the Republican. And were they even right about the fact check?
CBS Media Relations made a big deal about all day, making sure that everybody knew that they were absolutely not going to fact check. And so J.D. Vance calmly tries to explain. And then not only they say they're not going to fact check, but they do it. But then they get the fact check wrong. And then they don't give Vance an opportunity to explain. Then they cut the mics. And what ended up happening is you had one of the moderators then womansplain to J.D. Vance, which is really like, that was when everyone in our group was like, "Ooh, gosh, that's terrible," because you know that sound and that tone, and it's not a good one. When she said, "Thank you for explaining the law," like, well, yeah, because somebody needed to if you're at this point. And Tim Walz could have gone after him on more about Springfield, Ohio, and he chose not to. I think what the people on the left are mad about is that he decided not to do that. That's not J.D. Vance's fault.
Well, I think the interesting thing, Harold, is that Tim Walz tried to say that, this law has been in effect for, what did he say?
1990.
1990. CBP has been in effect for a couple of months.
Right. Look, I don't disagree with what you guys are saying around the table. I think that episode there, I don't know why they didn't let him just finish, because he did outline that there would be no fact checking. And if you thought he was wrong, then you could have let Governor Walz make some comments. Look, it's 4-on-1 here every day, right? And I don't
We love you, though, Harold.
I love you too, but that doesn't mean it's not 4-on-1. And for what I don't understand in these debates and politicians complaining, there are people who lost their homes, lost family members who are around the country. We should be focused on them. And complaining about 3-on-1, 2-on-1, 4-on-1, I thought J.D. Vance did a very good job last night. He might have been aided by the fact that they went after him like they went after him. So he did what President Trump did not do in the first debate. He assessed the field, he figured out what was going on, and he adjusted his cadence, he adjusted his substance, and he adjusted his temperament to the moment. And that's one of the reasons, if not one of the prevailing reasons, or controlling reasons, why he did so well last night. But I'll say what I say to politicians all the time. Stop complaining about yourself. Stay focused on the people. And J.D. did a good job of that last night.
And he did that, exactly. Okay, Jesse, where was the fact check when Walz said that Donald Trump hasn't paid taxes in 15 years, when I think it was MSNBC or the Dems said he paid over $1 million. They leaked that a couple years ago in taxes.
I believe Hunter Biden hasn't paid taxes in 15 years. I understand, Harold, you don't want to always be complaining. But when it's...
I never complain.
And you shouldn't.
You're complaining right now.
You should be grateful you're on this great show, Harold.
An artificial statement.
But when it's always the Republicans complaining and it's always the Democrats saying the moderators did such a great job, that's when you know the fix is in. The moderators shouldn't be a part of this discussion. They're not doing a good service to the viewer when they're not asking. Last night, never asked one question about energy, about China, about trade, about Ukraine, about Joe Biden. So you can deflect as much as you want when you're up against these three people. But if you're only going to treat one side badly and the other side like a gift, the viewers and the voters don't have the information they need to make a decision. They're only asking J.D. Vance about Trump like 7 times. They never asked Walz about Kamala once. They were suspicious when Vance said that illegal immigration is putting upward pressure on rent and housing. And they said, well, what proof do you have of that? Well, other than common sense, when you bring 25 million people into the country. And then he goes, well, I'll show you this afterwards, the Federal Reserve. The population influx puts upward pressure on rents and house prices. Why do we continue to have to prove that we're right after the debate when 3 million people watch this show and 40 million people are watching the debate? They're saying the moderators don't know enough about the issues as the Republicans. Each debate, ABC and CBS, they were wrong about crime, immigration, late-term abortion. They're not prepared. I know when Dana was doing her debate, she was probably studying for weeks. These people probably never even studied for this thing.
But the debate I did, it was Republicans. Everybody knew everything.
Right.
But it goes back to 2012 with Candy Crowley. Remember when she fact-checked on Obama about Romney about Russia, and Romney was right.
Chicks. Yes,
Am I right? They're worse.
And you know what, Greg? The other thing is that when J.D. Vance went after Walz on that change in the Minnesota statute, that basically Walz signed legislation that removed a requirement to provide life-saving care to babies born after a botched abortion. I mean, Walz literally lied about that.
Yeah, well, and he didn't get called on it. But you're wrong when you have to trudge out the this is sexist. Like, oh my God, they're mansplaining these delightful hosts. They cut the mic not because of the whole point of cutting the mic was for crosstalk.
Right.
They cut the mic because he was right.
Yep.
It was so obvious. It was like, oh, shut him up, shut him up. By the way, I've come to the conclusion that mansplaining is the female version of how men consider nagging.
Yep.
It's like they were nagging him and he was mansplaining them. The other thing too is, let's not forget how they framed the hurricane question.
Yeah.
In the context of climate change, and the correlation, the underlying assumption behind that question is false. There is no correlation between extreme hurricane and hurricane weather and climate change. The data is there, but you don't have time to question that. And if it were a talk show, maybe Vance would have come after him. But instead, he did something that I did not see coming, which was he tied it into America first, bring your manufacturing home, because we have cleaner energy than these terrible polluting countries. If that was the first time that I heard it, I'm pretty certain the moderators had no clue what he was talking about. But they operate, like you said, they operate on a very shallow level of information. Overwhelming consensus on climate change. That's as much as Nora Donald has ever read about the climate. And she doesn't believe there's any expectation that she has to read more about anything.
Sad. All right. Joe and Kamala are playing Follow the Leader, touring a hurricane-ravaged state 2 days after Trump did.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.